Hello everybody, how's everybody doing today? Great to be here. And I have to say, wow, what a great day we've had in the markets. Before we go on, I want to really share you about the fact that I think all of you should look back in my previous videos. I've made a 2014 predictions video. I want you to see if they are reliable for you, and I believe a lot of what I've forecasted has come true. And even though if it hasn't been so convenient for you, at least I can tell you it's certainly a lot better deal than what you're getting in the mainstream and the YouTube shark media. So let's just take a look at what's happening right now. So we saw what happened in 2014. Commodities, like I forecasted, didn't do so well. Markets did very well, although markets only went up. Dow Jones only 9% of the year 2014. Oil did really miserable. And I believe that's going to continue for the remainder of the year. It wouldn't surprise me to see that we can see oil in the $30 range. I doubt we will see oil getting to the 90s and triple digits. Gold, doesn't surprise me to see it going into the triple digit range. Silver, doesn't surprise me to see going under $15 or maybe even $13 an ounce. A lot of food commodities are starting to fall. Feeder cattle is lower, believe it or not, than it was 6 to 8 months ago. A lot of agricultural commodities are looking to slide down. The good news is a lot of grocery prices are starting to fall, even though we are still being pinched from last year or even the last 10 years, as a matter of fact. But as you can see in the markets, you can look at the earnings that we saw last week, and we're going to see this week. They're looking very, very bright. Again, not all of them have to be very good, but the ones like we just saw with eBay turn out to be better than expected. They're in the positive in the after-hours trading. So once we look in the picture, wow, the NASDAQ hit over 5,000. I believe we've closed over 5,000 several times. It's more than we did the last time we had a 5,000 era, and that was in March of 2000. And once you look in these factors, you look at the moving averages, we really haven't dipped below 4,800. We haven't had that major crash that we saw about 15 years ago. When you look at relative strength indicator, we are not really oversold for the NASDAQ. In addition, that you also have to keep in mind, in the long run, I think the U.S. stock market will be kind of a safe haven against emerging markets, bonds, and commodities. And yes, I do know that a lot of money has been flowing into foreign markets, but I believe that's just going to be really a short-term factor, especially in the long run. So what do we got here? What do we got ahead? I really see a good possibility the NASDAQ can continue to go higher. There's a chance we can make an all-time high tomorrow or next week, but I do see a greater chance, especially next month or two. Again, looking at the end of the year, doesn't surprise me to see Dow Jones hitting 20,000 and higher. NASDAQ, we can hit 5,300, maybe even 5,500. And the S&P, we can see that potentially hitting around 2,200 or even higher. So what are the factors that you really have to keep in mind? Now, yes, we can have a correction of 10% around this year, but the chance of seeing a 20-30% correction is greater next year. First of all, you have to keep in mind that a lot of emerging markets, particularly China, are continuing to slow down, and not to mention you got real estate markets, especially in the U.S., that in some cases, especially where I live in Southern California, are kind of overhyped. And I do think that they are starting to contract, and I do believe that they are going to have a fall in the next month ahead. So then you have to keep in mind the fundamentals of 2000 and 2015 when it comes to the NASDAQ. It's a lot different because you also have to compare full-time employment. You also have to compare, percentage of labor force, and not to mention cost of living. Prices of a lot of goods have pretty much increased about 2 times, and yet the NASDAQ hasn't hardly changed about 15 years ago. So when you factor in cost of living, NASDAQ should be around 7,000 to 8,000. And then you have to factor in price and earnings. So earnings have gone up. So when you factor in that, maybe the NASDAQ, to get to that level adjusted for that metric, could be 20,000 to 40,000. Keep in mind, price-earnings ratio is really not too high. and is still quite low compared to where it was in the year 2000. So, again, looking in the long run, I'm still very optimistic. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, good luck to you in everything that you do, and stay tuned for more updates to come. Thank you so much.